back the economy and get the economy back to sustainability. This afternoon, I'm joined by Ira Rakesh, who's the president of TAF, TAF Group, a company that focuses on construction and specifically big on matters of aviation infrastructure. Rakesh, welcome to KTN.
Thank you, Jimmy.
All right, let's start this conversation from where you sit at the moment. What are some of the investment gaps in Kenya as far as infrastructure development is concerned?
Well, I think you are going in the right direction at the moment, Kenya being the hub of the region. And I believe that with the open sky policies that is coming in here, and also the PPP that you're looking at, I think it's a big attraction for all the opportunity-minded, investment-minded individual entities and the companies. So I believe the Kenya I can see is a big major growth coming in as business entity mindset. We are looking at Kenya itself as a region where we can come and support in the development and in our own investments.
All right, and rightfully so. When you look at Kenya, it has been seen as the gateway to the East African region. However, our infrastructure, particularly on the aviation industry, is quite needing and quite wanting. From where you sit, from an investment perspective, how much more do we need to do going forward?
I think, first of all, you have to have your airports that I landed as in the airport, I see it. I think there is something that you need to develop it further up so you can increase the number of people that are really looking at coming in here. The passengers, the number of passengers coming in here, I can see more coming in here as its growth is foreseen here. So I think your investment should go more towards preparing more for the incoming passengers or incoming businesses, and that's where you need to create some more focus areas.
All right, and it's a good thing that you've mentioned that, because then the question that comes to mind is, what is the role of technology in all this? As we try to upgrade, let's say, our airports, what role does technology play?
I think now the new technologies that have been coming into the airports, you have to look at the ways to increase the number of flights that can come and land and go, because in all the development countries where I come from, like Singapore, we have one plane landing every minute. And here, I see there was a little bit of because of technology lagging behind. So it takes more time for aeroplanes to go land and then go get out of the airfield on the runway. And that technology is now available for us. So then we can have very quick landing, quick in, quick out. Yeah. So that is something you're looking at in terms of airport developments. So, and plus, I think you have to look in terms of the class and the projects where you can have comfort levels given to passengers and the more wanting to be here. You see, that's the first gateway of landing when the people come here for investments. And that's where you need to focus on that. They feel welcome and they look at something which is growing up in the economy and making its own class in the world.
All right, of course, Kenya's aspiration is to get to the levels of countries like your own, like Singapore, in terms of investment, in terms of having first-class airports, and even when it comes to things like the roads, we're trying to get there. Maybe you can help us in comparison to what happened in your country of Singapore and what's happening in Kenya. How did you get it right?
Well, Singapore is a very small country, but it is, of course, the hub of the entries to the Far East, and Singapore is more of based on the store and forward economy, with the people with fully very much of a disciplined mindset. Yeah. And the people are very much of nationalists out there, and they work very much together with the governments to succeed in that level. But I see in Kenya too, I have seen of the time I have been visiting Kenya, I've seen you have very good human resources, well-educated resources, which can be really a big growth for the region, and you can be there as it's an eastern hub for the entry to the Eastern Africa. So I think this is the place where we can say at comparable in terms of Singapore or for the Kenya. So as it comes to the same level, I think it's just the time it takes, but I think it's on the road itself now.
All right, Rakesh, again, the question of the operating environment, the business environment comes to mind whenever you talk about infrastructure. When you look at Kenya, how best can we leverage on the private sector and make sure that we make Kenya more attractive to investors who are coming into the country to invest in infrastructure?
I think coming into infrastructure investments in the country, first of all, the there's some roadblocks that come, red tapeism as we call it, that must be done away with. That so the investor comes in here, he should have some sort of securities that believing that when he comes in here that he is not be stalled. He must be able to reach out and start the job as soon as possible so that he can invest into something and complete in timeline that he has to complete in. And in case he's unable to do that, then it finds that it's difficult. So I think small red tapeism has to go from here so that you welcome the investors coming in here, and then they will feel comfortable in this case, so that easily can be one-stop window can be made where whole licensing and everything can be done.
All right, and it's a good thing that you mentioned the issue of red tapes, and this has been a growing concern, and especially as far as Kenya is concerned. Now, in terms of benchmarking in clearing some of these red tapes, which countries are doing best? Because I know you traveled across Africa. Which countries do we need to benchmark from in terms of just clearing these red tapes?
I think I can really put now India in this discussion, because India has recently come far in leaps and bounds. If you see since 2014, and it has really made investment very easy for investors.
Yeah.
So there's lots of people are coming into India and leaving other countries to do it. I think in terms of Africa, we have seen Kenya, in fact, is the leading one to remove the red tapeism. It's slowly growing towards that. So I think I don't have much to say in other countries, but Kenya, I believe, is really doing it. And I believe in coming years, your red tapeism will be reduced to a one-stop window for this.
All right, and of course, I know a company like the one that you run, which is tough and it's big on construction. Now, when you look at Kenya, of course, there are areas that we must have gotten it right, and that has attracted you to want to set up shop in Kenya. Maybe you can just take us through that thinking process and why you settled on Kenya.
Well, we have been coming to Kenya in past few years, and we have been looking at it, the growth that in this region that's taking place. And I believe that when we come in here, we want to be part of the development as it's going on. Yeah. We have seen some major developments, like you have highways are now coming very comfortable to travel around. I've been in the Kenya when it wasn't there now. When I see expressways, they're doing very nice, and I think this is adding towards the growth of the country. And with this growth, I think we as a company would like to be participating in this development, and we will be coming in and also train the local people, local economy. And I think that will go on with us and hand in hand.
All right, so Rakesh, before we wind up, I know once you set up in the country, you'll be looking at jobs. Maybe you can help us understand how many people are likely to get employed, and what are some of the things that we need to start getting right now before you come and settle in the country?
Well, we are looking for some major development projects here. And the opportunity that we can see that being offered to us, and with those opportunities that we can go in infrastructure development, we would like to bring our own engineers initially from Singapore and from India, and we'll engage your engineers, your youth with us, and train them, to empower them and to bring them into the mainstream as the future of Kenya. And I think with that, when we have come here with the projects, we will use in the local businesses with local services, and we'll employ more local people, and that will have a major impact on the economy. And in turn, the people that get employed, they will be spending more with the local businesses, and that will increase their own spending, and that means more employment will be generated. So when we come in here, we also put our own infrastructures here to support our projects, and that generates more income and more of the jobs opportunity for the local people.
All right, thank you so much, Rakesh, for making time to speak to us. And of course, we will be looking forward to you setting up in the country, and also just trying to understand some of the other things that you will be doing. And of course, on that note, we want to take a quick break. I will be back with more.
Thank you, Jimmy.